Hello, chosen one. Have you ever experienced betrayal so profound that it felt like your very soul had been fractured? That sense of desolation, as though the world had conspired to turn its back on you, can leave scars deeper than words can express. And what's worse, perhaps those who caused your pain were not satisfied with merely wounding you. They rewrote the narrative, painting themselves as the victims and casting you as the antagonist. They twisted the story so cunningly that others believed them. But here you are, not by chance, but by divine appointment. Let me assure you, God sees everything. He knows the truth hidden beneath layers of deception, and His justice is already at work. When they schemed behind closed doors, thinking their actions were shrouded in secrecy, God saw it all. While they may have fooled the world, they could not fool the one who judges all things with perfect clarity. As you read this, take comfort in knowing that you are not alone. God's justice is inevitable, and though the pain may linger, He is using this season to refine you, strengthen you, and elevate you. The harm they meant for you is being transformed into blessings beyond measure. Let's unpack this journey together by exploring 7 unmistakable signs that reveal when someone has wronged you deeply, then played the victim, and how God is turning your story into one of victory. 1. Divine justice in motion. The consequence of their actions. They may seem to have moved on, but this is nothing more than an illusion, a carefully curated facade masking the emptiness beneath. Their attempts to tear you down have not propelled them forward, but have instead become the very chains that bind them. They are ensnared in a cycle of spiritual stagnation, unable to grow, progress, or find the peace they so desperately seek. Meanwhile, you are thriving, elevated by the grace and favor of God, leaving them to grapple with the consequences of their own choices. This stagnation does not exist in isolation. It seeps into every corner of their life, manifesting in fractured relationships, derailed ambitions, and a haunting sense of purposelessness. The clarity they once claimed is now replaced by confusion, as if their path has been shrouded in a fog they cannot escape. Their frustration grows, and they search for answers, but the truth is simple. What you sow, you shall reap. Seeds of deceit and destruction can never yield a harvest of blessings. God's justice is not arbitrary, it is meticulous, deliberate, and unyielding. Every cruel word, every calculated lie, and every harmful action they took against you is now a weight pressing down on their spirit. The very plans they crafted to harm you are turning against them, like a snare tightening with every passing moment. This is not mere coincidence, it is divine orchestration. God, in His wisdom, ensures that no wrongdoing goes unanswered. They are not simply facing bad luck, they are walking through the consequences of their own deliberate actions. Take solace in this, chosen one. Their struggle is your vindication. Their inability to advance while you continue to rise is not a sign of imbalance but of divine justice at work. The blessings you are receiving, the strength you are reclaiming, and the peace you are experiencing are proof that God's hand is upon your life. Meanwhile, their inability to escape the traps they set is a vivid reminder that God's justice cannot be evaded. Their frustration will persist until they confront the truth, until they acknowledge the harm they caused and seek genuine redemption. And until that moment comes, they will remain where they are, entangled in the web they spun for you. Rest assured, God's justice is not a distant promise. It is a force at work right now, turning every weapon formed against you into a stepping stone for your ascension. You were chosen to rise, and nothing can stop that, too. God saw every betrayal and kept a record, the unseen hand of justice. Dear chosen one, let this truth anchor your heart. Nothing escapes the gaze of God. Every betrayal, every scheme devised against you, every cruel word spoken behind closed doors, God saw it all. Not a single act of malice has gone unnoticed, and not a single tear you shed has been forgotten. The very people who sought to harm you may believe their deeds are buried, hidden in the shadows, but before God, all is revealed and recorded. In the moments when your heart was shattered and your spirit felt crushed, it might have seemed as though no one understood your pain. Perhaps you felt isolated, abandoned by those who should have stood by you. Yet, in those lonely nights when your soul cried out for comfort, God was there. He witnessed the fullness of your suffering, not just the external wounds but the weight of the hurt you carried deep within. Every tear you cried was gathered by Him, a testimony to your endurance and a prayer for justice. Let this sink in. God is not indifferent to your pain. While it may have felt like the heavens were silent, they were anything but. Each of your whispered prayers, choked by sorrow and uttered in desperation, reached the ears of a loving God who has always been by your side. He wasn't merely observing, He was working behind the scenes, preparing to bring the truth to light in His perfect time. The illusion of escape, those who wronged you may seem to live without consequence. They might act as though they've moved on, convincing themselves and others that their actions are forgotten. But this is a fragile illusion. God's justice is not rushed nor haphazard. It is patient, deliberate, and unerring. His timing is perfect, designed to not only reveal the truth but to confront them with the weight of their misdeeds in a way they cannot deny. You see, God's justice does not simply punish, it corrects. It is not born out of vengeance but out of a divine desire for accountability and transformation. These individuals may feel as though they've outmaneuvered consequence, but the walls of their deceit are beginning to crumble. The seeds of malice they planted in secret are now bearing the bitter fruit of regret, guilt, and the unraveling of their carefully constructed lies. Even now, as they try to move forward, they find resistance at every turn. Their paths are filled with obstacles they cannot overcome, their relationships are strained, and their inner peace has been replaced by an inescapable sense of unease. This is no accident, it is the divine consequence of their choices. What they thought was hidden is now becoming an undeniable weight pressing down on them. God's patience and precision. Take comfort in this, chosen one. God's justice is thorough, and his memory is eternal. While human justice may falter or forget, God keeps perfect records. He knows every lie that was whispered to tarnish your name, every glance exchanged behind closed doors where they plotted against you, and every seed of doubt they sowed in others to isolate you. Nothing was overlooked, and nothing will go unanswered. But why, you might ask, does God allow the delay? Why does it seem as though they prosper while you endure the pain of their actions? Understand this: God's delay is not denial. His patience is a mark of his wisdom. It is not enough for their deeds to be exposed. The timing must be such that their hearts are brought to full accountability. Only then can true justice, divine justice, be complete. Imagine a potter shaping clay on a wheel. The process is slow and deliberate, with each movement designed to create something beautiful and lasting. God's justice is much the same. It is not rushed because it aims not only to reveal the truth but also to transform. Those who harmed you are being given the opportunity to confront their wrongs, to seek redemption, and to be changed. But until they do, the weight of their actions will continue to press upon them. The weight of their choices. They may fool others, but they cannot fool God. His vision pierces through every facade, every mask, and every false narrative they've constructed. While they may paint themselves as the victims in your story, God sees their true intentions, the resentment hidden behind their smiles, the bitterness veiled by kind words, and the malice that fueled their actions. They cannot hide from the truth. As time passes, their guilt will manifest in ways they cannot ignore. Their words will lose their charm, their relationships will falter, and their plans will unravel. The more they cling to their deception, the heavier their burden will become. This is not punishment for its own sake. It is God's way of forcing them to confront the reality of their choices. Take heart, chosen one. While they wrestle with the consequences of their actions, you are being set free. The pain they inflicted on you is being turned into strength, and the sorrow they caused is becoming a foundation for your growth. God is not only restoring what was lost, He is elevating you to new heights, a testimony to God's faithfulness. You may feel as though their betrayal has overshadowed your story, but the truth is quite the opposite. Their actions, though painful, are being used by God as a stage to display His justice, His protection, and His unwavering love for you. What they meant for harm, God is turning into a testimony of His faithfulness. Each moment of betrayal, every instance of heartbreak, is being woven into a narrative that will inspire others. Your journey, marked by endurance, faith, and eventual victory, will serve as a beacon of hope to those who walk similar paths. It will show them that God sees, God cares, and God acts. Each moment of betrayal, Every instance of heartbreak is being woven into a narrative that will inspire others. Your journey, marked by endurance, faith, and eventual victory, will serve as a beacon of hope to those who walk similar paths. It will show them that God sees, God cares, and God acts, and so, chosen one, hold your head high. The God who saw every betrayal, who kept a record of every wrong, is the same God who is now working all things together for your good. His justice is not far off, it is here, moving with purpose and precision. Trust in His timing, rest in His love, and know that you are never alone. For what they meant for evil, God is turning for your good. Their schemes cannot prosper against you because the God who holds your life is faithful, just, and unstoppable. Your journey is not defined by their betrayal, but by the grace and purpose that now guide you forward. Let their actions serve as a reminder, not of your pain, but of God's unshakable promise to never leave or forsake you. The best is yet to come. 3. They deceive many, but they can never deceive God. Their greatest skill seems to be their ability to weave illusions, crafting stories that paint themselves as victims and you as the villain. Their words are artfully chosen, designed to tug at the hearts of those around them, sowing doubt and garnering sympathy. They've mastered the art of manipulation, turning friends against you, isolating you in your pain, and persuading others to view them as noble while casting shadows on your character. But no matter how convincing their act, God is not fooled. While they may have hidden behind masks, God sees them for who they truly are. Every lie they told, every half-truth they whispered, every calculated move they made to discredit you, all of it has been laid bare before Him. The outward smiles, the performative kindness, the feigned righteousness, all of it is seen for the facade it is. God sees deeper than human eyes ever could. He doesn't just observe actions, He knows motives. While they cloak their bitterness in charm and their resentment in kind words, God discerned the malice that fueled them. He witnessed their private thoughts and the schemes they plotted in secret. What they have managed to hide from the world is fully exposed to Him. Their deceit may have fooled many, but it cannot deceive the one who sees all. The cracks in their facade, their narrative, so meticulously crafted, is beginning to unravel. Those who once believed their lies are starting to notice the inconsistencies, the cracks in the story, the moments where truth slips through despite their best efforts to suppress it. These cracks are not mere coincidences, they are the result of God's hand at work. God is patient, but His justice is unrelenting. He allows deceit to thrive only for a time, giving space for the truth to emerge with undeniable clarity. Those who were once blinded by their charm and persuasion are now questioning their motives. Slowly but surely, people are beginning to see the contrast between their words and their actions, between the persona they project and the reality of who they are. This unraveling isn't chaotic, it is deliberate. God is peeling back the layers of deception, exposing them bit by bit. Each falsehood they told becomes a thread that unravels the tapestry of lies they built. Their attempts to control the narrative are failing, and they find themselves trapped by the weight of their own dishonesty. The vindication of truth. Take comfort in this, chosen one, truth always prevails. While their lies might have caused you pain, and their manipulations may have swayed others temporarily, the truth has an enduring strength that cannot be extinguished. God, in His infinite wisdom, is orchestrating a process that not only vindicates you but also reveals the depths of their deceit to those who need to see it. The unveiling of truth is not merely for your sake, it is for the sake of justice and transformation. Those who believe their lies will see the truth with clarity, not just as an abstract idea but as a lived reality. And for the deceivers themselves, the revelation of their actions is an opportunity for repentance and accountability. God's justice doesn't seek to destroy but to correct, to restore balance, and to offer a path back to integrity for those who are willing to change. God's unwavering knowledge of your heart, while their lies swayed others, God never doubted you. He has seen your heart from the beginning, the sincerity of your intentions, the pain you endured in silence, and the faith you held on to even when the world seemed to turn against you. While others judged based on appearances, God judged based on truth. Your tears, your prayers, your cries for understanding, they did not fall on deaf ears. Every moment of your suffering has been acknowledged by the one who loves you beyond measure. He has been your advocate, your defender, and your refuge. And now, He is your vindicator. So, hold fast, chosen one. The lies may have seemed to overshadow the truth, but their time is coming to an end. God's justice is not hurried, but it is unstoppable. What they sought to hide will be revealed, and what they tried to destroy in you will only shine brighter. They may have fooled many, but they cannot fool God. His truth, like the dawn, is breaking through the darkness, bringing light to every corner of their deception and proving once and for all that righteousness cannot be silenced. Trust in Him, for He is working in ways you cannot yet see, ensuring that the truth will prevail in His perfect time. For God was with you through every tear and prayer, in the quiet solitude of your heartbreak. When the weight of betrayal pressed against your spirit, God was never absent. Every tear you shed in the stillness of your room, every silent cry that felt like it went unheard, was carefully collected by the one who knows your every thought and sees your every pain. He was there. In moments when you felt abandoned, He was closest, an ever-present comforter in the darkest valleys of your journey. Your prayers, even the ones whispered through trembling lips or uttered in moments of despair, were not empty words. They reached His heart. He heard the unspoken fears, the unyielding hope buried beneath your sorrow, and the unwavering faith you clung to, even when your world seemed to collapse. He wasn't just a spectator of your suffering, He was your strength, standing with you as you endured what felt unbearable, what they intended for harm, for isolation, for your undoing, became an invitation for you to lean into God's presence. Their betrayal became the catalyst for a deeper intimacy with Him. Through your tears, He infused you with resilience, transforming your sorrow into a refining fire. What once felt like a breaking point became the foundation of your strength, as God turned your pain into purpose. Now, as the storm subsides, you stand stronger than ever, not because you were spared the trial, but because God carried you through it. Each tear you shed was a seed sown in His plan for your life. One that will bloom into blessings far beyond what you can imagine. You are no longer defined by the pain inflicted upon you, but by the faithfulness of the one who held you together. You are living proof of His grace, His healing, and His divine purpose. 5. Their schemes are turning against them. The very trap they set for you is now closing in on them. Every calculated scheme, every word of slander, and every deceitful action they devise to harm you is unraveling, not by coincidence but by divine design. What they sowed in malice is bearing bitter fruit, and they find themselves ensnared by the chaos they created. Their lies, once whispered with confidence, are now echoing back as judgment. The web of manipulation they spun is becoming too tangled for even them to navigate. God's justice is perfect, and it does not miss a single detail. While they sought to harm you, He was already at work, turning their efforts into instruments of their own undoing. Now, they face the crumbling of their ambitions, the unraveling of their relationships, and the failure of their plans. Confusion surrounds them, not because the world has turned against them, but because their own actions have turned against them. What they thought was cleverness is being exposed as cruelty. What they believed to be strength is revealed as weakness. And while their world falters, yours rises. God has shielded you. Their attempts to destroy your reputation, steal your peace, or diminish your light have only served to highlight His favor over your life. What they meant for your harm has become the very testimony of God's provision and protection. Their downfall is not yours to celebrate, but to observe. It is a reminder that God's justice is not hurried but precise. While you continue to rise, surrounded by His blessings, they are left to confront the consequences of their choices. Through it all, you are vindicated, not by your retaliation, but by His unshakable truth. His favor on you is undeniable, and no scheme of theirs can ever change that. 6. God's protection has been your unshakable shield. Every time they conspired against you, thinking they could crush your spirit, God was already ahead of them. His protection encircled you like a fortress, standing tall against every weapon they formed. What they didn't realize was that their plans, no matter how carefully devised, could never penetrate the divine shield of favor God placed over your life. Their words, sharp like daggers, were dulled before they could reach you. Their actions, calculated to harm, were rendered powerless. It wasn't your own strength that kept you standing, it was the hand of God, firmly guarding you. He turned every arrow they aimed into opportunities to strengthen you. Even when you didn't understand why the attacks were coming, God was already transforming the pain into purpose. You were never alone. In moments of uncertainty, when their schemes seemed overwhelming, God's protection whispered peace into your heart. He reminded you that no weapon formed against you would prosper, and today, you are living proof of that promise. You stand unbroken, not because of luck, but because of His faithfulness. Their plots didn't just fail, they became stepping stones. Each attempt to harm you only added to the testimony of His grace in your life. The adversity they sent your way was woven into a tapestry of victory, showing the world that those who trust in the Lord cannot be shaken. You are a walking testament of His unwavering love, His infinite power, and His unmatched protection. 7. You are rising higher, leaving them in the shadows. Every betrayal, every act of malice they unleashed against you, has been transformed by God into a platform for your growth. What they intended to bury you has instead elevated you, and now, you are walking in a light they can no longer dim. While they are ensnared by the consequences of their actions, you are flourishing. The trials that once seemed insurmountable have become the very foundation of your triumph. Every hardship refined you, every tear watered the seeds of your destiny, and every loss became a gain in God's perfect plan. You are thriving in ways they never imagined. Their attempts to hold you back have only propelled you forward. What they meant to harm you has become a testimony of resilience and faith. God has been your architect, building a future so radiant that it leaves them in awe and disbelief. They wanted to see you fall, but instead, they're witnessing your rise, a rise that is not just material but deeply rooted in peace, purpose, and unshakable joy. You've left behind their shadows, not out of spite, but because your focus is no longer on the past. Your energy is directed toward the abundant life God has prepared for you. Your peace speaks louder than their chaos, your victory overshadows their schemes. And your resilience is a reflection of His divine favor. Let them watch from a distance, for they no longer have a place in your story. Their betrayal was a chapter, but it wasn't the end. God's hand has lifted you higher, and where He is leading you, they cannot follow. You are rising, not just above them, but into the fullness of His purpose for your life. Closing reflection. Embrace your destiny with boldness and grace. Beloved, you are a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the boundless grace of God. You have walked through the flames of betrayal, endured the sting of rejection, and faced the darkness of pain. Yet here you stand, stronger, wiser, and more deeply rooted in your divine purpose than ever before. What once sought to break you has only shaped you into a vessel of courage, perseverance, and unshakable faith. The wounds they inflicted no longer define you, they are but reminders of a past you have overcome. Your true identity lies not in the scars of yesterday, but in the promises of tomorrow, secured by God's unwavering love. Every tear you cried watered the seeds of greatness within you. Every setback was a divine setup for the remarkable things yet to unfold. As you step boldly into this new season of your life, release the weight of the hurt that tried to cling to your soul. Forgiveness is not for their sake, but for your freedom. Let it be the key that unlocks the door to peace, joy, and the blessings that are waiting to overflow in your life. Your journey was never meant to be just for you. The trials you have overcome and the victories you now claim are a beacon of hope for those walking through their own valleys. Your story carries the power to inspire, to heal, and to remind others that with God, all things are possible. You have become a living testament of His ability to transform pain into purpose, ashes into beauty, and mourning into dancing. Know this, the best is yet to come. Your life is a masterpiece in progress, painted by the hand of a faithful Creator who sees beyond your present into the extraordinary future He has prepared. Walk with confidence, knowing His protection surrounds you like a shield. His justice has silenced every voice that rose against you, and His love will sustain you in every season ahead. Let your light shine unapologetically. Let your heart be fearless in pursuing what God has placed within you. Let your life reflect His unstoppable power and unmatched grace. You are chosen, cherished, and destined for greatness. So walk boldly, beloved, for the journey ahead holds far more than you could ever imagine.